I need a records I can scratch.
He's back.
Speaking
Old
of
man
that,
Wumps is back.
So I have to give a caveat. I'm kind of back. I'm recovering from COVID. This time I have really, really bad brain fog, and my brain just sometimes pauses for like 3 seconds.
That's fine.
So
we'll fill it in with rambling nonsense, and it'll be just like
that.
And
you remember the $100 you owe me, though, right? You haven't forgotten about that. Okay.
Oh, $100 you said. I thought you said 100 ducks.
No.
And
he shipped you 100
Yeah,
ducks.
I shipped you a bunch of duck eggs.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, duck eggs are delicious.
They'd probably be quite valuable.
Not
right
at this
now.
point. They'll be hatching here soon. So.
Oh, fertilized duck eggs.
Right.
It's good to have you back, Bri. We missed you last week.
is.
We soldiered on without you. Hopefully we didn't embarrass ourselves.
It was rough.
But we're glad to have you back.
We embarrass ourselves when he's here. What difference does it make?
It's been rough, man.
And the brain fog doesn't sound
I got
good.
like I had that my really heavy go around with COVID. Definitely the brain fog. There's no other way to describe it. You're just like, I am dumb now. I can't think. Yeah.
Well, it's not only that, it translates to other things too. So typing on a keyboard, I have problems. Playing guitar is the worst thing. Like I'll be playing a scale and all of a sudden the connection between my fingers and my brain just stops. Mm-hmm. And it's just like literally everything stops. I'm like, why are you stopping? I don't want you to stop. I feel like you should continue going, but you're not.
Right. Yeah.
So it makes playing not enjoyable, and it makes it hard and depressing.
Yeah. You'll get over it though.
I hope so. I hope it's not permanent.
It's not permanent.
If it's permanent, I'm gonna have to start learning your like Doom, where I can just tune everything down. You know,
is that a backhanded diss there? Did you just really just say?
Oh no, I don't mean that as a diss. I just mean something where there's not like chicken picking involved. You know,
that's right. You got to tune low and play slow. That's what they say. That's what you do.
Tune low and play slow.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Well, hopefully your brain fog gets better quickly. And we can talk about that $1,000 you owe me another time. It's fine. It's not a problem.
Oh, he wants 1,000.
1,000 ducks. All right. Yeah. That's a lot of eggs. That's a lot of eggs. But
what is going on with eggs in your country?
Venison. He wants live deer.
A lot of deer.
Yeah,
I don't know if I could find $1,000 or doe. I mean, really combined. You know, I guess don't have to be bucks, right? They can be.
I'm a fan
deer,
of the doe.
So. Yeah,
that is what I want. Give me all your doe. So, what is going on with eggs in your country? Because I see a lot of people posting egg-based memes. What's happening?
Basically the price of clans. They're the same price as clans right now.
Oh, I look forward to
one egg
eggs.
equals one clan. Yeah.
The way I understand it is we've had a massive bout of bird flu that has wiped out a lot of chickens.
Here.
Yeah. And so with less chickens, you have less eggs. With less eggs,
no, I get the maths from now on. Yeah, no, I can extrapolate.
Carry the one.
I should have just phrased it. Have you also had bird flu over there like we have? But you have. Okay. Yeah, it got crazy for a while, but it's got better over here. But that's the only thing that's got better over here. Everything else has gone to shit. But yeah, right.
I think that's the world. I'm convinced the world is just completely gone to pot.
I mean,
and not the good kind of pot.
Not running off into the weeds straight away, but Blake, Brian and I had a little conversation before the recording started, and we exchanged some of the COVID hallucinations we had suffered. I'm not sure either of us are convinced that we're currently in the real reality that we thought we were. I
definitely had COVID hallucinations, but that was a long time ago. That was right before everything just really went down the toilet. It was right before lockdown. And I was seeing monsters and all kinds of stuff. I didn't know if my wife was real. It was scary. I didn't like it.
Yeah, so I dreamed that I somehow accidentally entered into a portal into another. It was still Earth, and it was still this earth, but I jumped dimensions. So I jumped into another alternative reality of me.
You ran into another Brian?
No, I just jumped people, so to speak.
Okay.
So I went from one reality to And so like I picked up my phone to call my wife and her number wasn't in my phone. I was like, oh crap. This is not good. So it was not a good dream.
You looked around, you were in Portland, Oregon for some reason.
It was strange, but
riding a penny farthing with a mustache.
It was very realistic. Yeah. I don't know what a penny farthing is, but I'm sure it's worth more than a buck.
It's those weird bicycles that for some reason have a giant front wheel.
Oh, yes.
What do you mean for some reason? Clearly that is the distinguished way for a gentleman to get about town on his giant penny farthing.
I guess.
Hipsters do ride them now, though. That's the thing. I bet Portland's full of... They probably even have special signs for, like, beware penny farthings and turtleneck sweaters.
I've genuinely never seen one, ever.
I've seen one in London.
Not ever.
I pointed and laughed, but I've definitely seen one. Yeah, people are riding. Look, it's the whole hipster thing to go retro now, isn't it? I
thought the hipster thing was, like, not cool anymore, though.
It's not cool. Now what you got to do is you got to dress like my mom from 1999. That's what's cool.
Only at weekends.
For some reason. I don't know. You know, we don't have penny farthings, but we do have a man that dons a Darth Vader costume, has a bagpipe that spouts flames and rides around on a unicycle. We do have that. And I'm not joking in the slightest. He's called the Unipiper, and he's magical.
There isn't
How
one
much
single
LSD
part
does
of
one
that.
person can one person take?
I love that so much. That's fantastic.
I will send you links to the Unipiper.
I think I may have seen him. I remember when I was in New York, I saw a guy who walked around. He's quite famous, apparently. He just has a cat on his shoulder, and it's on a leash, but it just chooses to sit on his shoulder or his head, and he just walks around New York City all day long with a cat. He's known as Cat on Head Man. I mean, the last time I saw him was 10 years ago, so the cat may be dead now. He may just be skeleton on head, man. But
that reminds me of whenever I used to go to New York and pose in my underwear and take pictures with tourists.
I thought that. Oh, you were the naked cowboy?
Yeah, I used to do that.
Yeah.
Before I got into the guitar pedal gig.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think the naked cowboy is still doing the naked cowboy thing.
No way.
I'm pretty sure he is.
Well, at some point you're like the naked papaw. You know, at some point you age out of that.
At some point, gravity gets the better of you, and it ain't a good look, right?
Exactly.
Right, fellow boomers?
You want to take a picture with me? Nope.
Oh, I got a bug in here. Ah! It's attacking me. Anyway.
It's those men in black. Oh, that sort of... Oh, you... of course, you're Americans. You use the word bug instead of insect, like the rest of the world.
It's a bug. I don't know if it's an insect or some other sort of bug.
It doesn't necessarily have to be an insect.
Yeah, it could be an arachnid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A flying arachnid.
Could be.
Could be.
Could be. All the crazy
it's
things
Portland.
We just talked about a Darth Vader on a unicycle. You're telling me we can't have flying spiders?
I don't even know why I'm trying to bait you. I'm wrong already. You may as well just get on with it and spray me before we move on to the next bit.
Okay.
All right. Strangely, I missed that last week. Oh, I feel refreshed. So, I've got a question for you. Did you know that Pink Floyd are a bunch of liberal losers? Or at least that's what the internet has led me to believe this week.
I was astounded and shocked, quite frankly, to find out that they had gone woke.
They not only have they gone woke, they've ruined the greatest album of all time by introducing a rainbow that was there all along since 1973. How dare they?
How dare they?
How dare they? How dare they?
I'll never listen to their music again, says half the comments. Not on this, but on the thread.
I mean, on this podcast, that is also
it's
true because Brian will never listen to their music again. Well, maybe one day, but
it has nothing to do with the
country. It has nothing to do with anything like that. I just, it's Pink Floyd.
Yeah. I can't believe this. So just to backtrack a little, in case you have not been anywhere near the internet last week and you haven't been sent this story, And thanks to everyone who sent it to me, but you can stop sending it now. Brian. Pink Floyd are releasing a 50th anniversary edition of Dark Side of the Moon, possibly the greatest album of all time. And they have made a really nice little 50 logo for it, where they've put the letters 50 in nice line art inside a kind of triangle to represent the prism that was on the album. And they've put the prismatic light breakup image inside the zero vertically, as opposed to the kind of 15-degree angle it came out previously. And apparently that's enough to send the entire internet into meltdown. I think this is a
So when you say prismatic breakup, what does a prismatic breakup look like, Richard?
Well, it's a good question, Blake. Thanks for asking it. It looks a little bit like a rainbow. In fact, it looks exactly like a rainbow, because when you break light down into its visible parts, you create a rainbow, essentially.
Interesting.
Wait until people start seeing Skittles commercials.
I mean, there is some controversy over the M&M.
They've gone woke.
They've gone woke. Those SOBs.
I mean, that should be our stand-up comedy character.
Wait a minute.
They probably already have one on Saturday Night Live. I don't watch it. But if not, can we just start a sketch where every now and then Brian just shouts, "They've gone woke," and gets a bit red like that?
I could steal a character from one of my other favorite podcasts called Dudesy. They have a reoccurring character called Long Island January 6th guy. And he's a guy from Long Island who went down to the Capitol on January 6th, who doesn't actually exist, by the way. Yeah, I went down to Nancy Pelosi's office, and I went around, and I just said right on her desk. You know what I mean?
I mean, they almost certainly listen to Dark Side of the Moon inside the liberal White House. Oh, hold on. Is it liberal? I don't know anymore. I've forgotten where American politics is. What year are we in? Oh, what universe are we in, Bri?
Well, that's actually a good question.
That is a good question. Apparently, I changed at some point.
We've always had the Black House. What are you guys talking about?
Oh, that made me laugh too much. Was this real, or was this just a couple of trolls, like, igniting the tide?
There was literally people angry about this.
There were people angry about it. But I wonder if some of this was fake. If some of this was like, I mean, we've already seen the research. There are people on the internet who are not real people that are here to cause mayhem and confusion, and that's been well established and documented at this point. That's not a conspiracy. That's something that other countries really do, and we probably do too. I don't know that for a fact, but it's definitely been established that happens. Mm-hmm. So, were some of those not real? I'm sure some of them were not real, but some of them were real, and it made me weep for humanity.
I mean, luckily, it's got to about 7,000 comments by the time I really started looking through it, so I couldn't get to any of the really juicy, stupid ones. But the ones I saw were just...
So I can basically summarize it for you. It generally starts with somebody who say something along the lines of, "Oh, no, not this LGBTQ crap again from this band." And you're like, my head just hurts even thinking about it. And then when you try to explain that this is a Pink Floyd thing from years ago from the earlier albums, right? Like the Prism and all that stuff. And then that person is just radio silence. They never respond again. So they don't even have the integrity to say, "Whoops, my bad. I'm an effing idiot. I'm sorry."
No.
They don't do that. But they sure do spit out their venomous opinion.
Mm-hmm. And I mean,
and to those people, I just mute and block them. I literally just mute and block from now on.
I really hate, if it is true, I hate to break it to anybody who has listened to it, but if you listen to some of the words in the songs from Pink Floyd, and you listen to anything said by particularly Roger Waters, who is not known for sitting on the fence politically, you may be in for a shock if you thought that you were listening to the world's most ultra conservative band. Now, that's not to say you can't enjoy it if you are a conservative leaning person or if you are a liberal or whatever. But the politics of Pink Floyd has always been acceptance and progression in society, and look at all the crap that our forefathers did and had done to them. And I'm sorry, you have not been listening to the music if you're shocked that they are associated with anything progressive politically. But they're not making
it's like
that
the people
point.
who got mad at Rage Against the Machine, right? They were like, I can't believe Rage Against the Machine is a left-leaning institution in music. I'm like, oh, you can't? They're literally called Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah,
Right. What do you think the machine is?
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
Liberal
What
bubble
do you think
blowing
Bulls on
machine.
Parade is about?
Right.
Like, I mean, it's fine to be like not like that stuff. It's fine to not have your own opinion. That's perfectly fine.
I mean, you could be wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. But don't be shocked. Don't be surprised when you find out that Pink Floyd has had a rainbow on the cover of their album for however many years at this point. We've got to be getting close to, when did Dark Side of the Moon come out?
70s for sure.
1973.
What was
Yeah.
this? Mid-70s? 73?
So, yeah, a long time.
50 years, in
So
fact.
settle down.
There is
Yeah,
an
50
interesting...
years, duh.
This will spring out two interesting other subjects. I'm going to touch on one very quickly because there isn't a huge amount that I can say to it, but I wanted Brian's input here. But one of the things I read after the passing of Jeff Beck was actually that Nick Mason wanted Jeff Beck to come and join Pink Floyd after Sid departed. And whilst I love what Pink Floyd became, clearly, could you imagine that alternative timeline? I've just written a blog about Jeff Beck, which is out by the time this is out. But and I make that point. I wouldn't change Pink Floyd, but I'd love to have seen Pink Floyd with Jeff Beck as well as Gilmour, and without Gilmour, but definitely as well as. That would have been good. But Bri, we talked about Jeff Beck a fair amount last week, but we wanted to leave just a little bit because out of all of us, you're the only one who's seen him live, I believe.
Yeah, I saw him just a few months ago with Johnny Depp in a very small venue, like 30,000 seater, 4,000 seater, maybe. Wow. So it was a very, very intimate setting. Sounded great. Just amazing. Played great. Of course, I took a couple of my kids with me and they weren't familiar. They loved Johnny Depp, but they weren't familiar with Jeff Beck. And so at one point, when my daughters turned around and said, "Are there any words to these songs?" I said, no, honey, this is a guitar player's thing. But I said, Johnny Depp will be here in just a minute. So it'll be fine. Things will be fine. But I mean, the thing about Jeff is that, if you look at the culture now around guitar, there's a lot of great, great players, but there's not a lot of people who just completely do their own thing so dramatically like Jeff did. I mean, when you hear him play, like he's not trying to shred. He's not trying to be bluesy or this or that. Like, he's just doing what he does. And I respect the hell out of that way more than, just another virtuoso. Nothing against being a virtuoso, but in this day and age, everyone's a virtuoso. It seems like. Except for
I mean, there's a lot more ability to learn than there ever has been, and there's more music. But you are spot on, and it's something that came to me when I was writing that blog piece, was he sits there like Hendrix and Van Halen and maybe a couple of others as one of the people who the instrument is part of his body. And, part of that is definitely amplified, no pun intended there, by the fact that he uses his thumb and his fingers to pick, and it really is connected to him in that way. But he was at one
a lot
with
of
that
tremolo
instrument.
stuff.
And I've been trying to learn People Get Ready, which was a cover he did with Rod Stewart on vocals. And again, the tab looks simple, like the notes. There's not a huge frequency of like 16th notes played everywhere. There's a tasteful choice. But then you look at the notes above the stave and it's like pre-dive here, bend up here, bend back down, be pre-bent before rebending and pre-bending. It's like, how?
It's all these nuances it's all these nuances to everything that just makes it so damn unique.
Well, and it's not only the skill level involved, because there is a lot of that. It's like, how did he come up with that? how did you even think to do some of that stuff? That's what blows me away.
Yeah.
It's, and did you see in this day and age where controversy can come out of nothing, as we've been talking about for the last 5 minutes, you didn't see anybody with anything negative to say about
It was
Jeff
a very
Beck.
positive
Not
send-off,
one
wasn't
thing.
it?
Yeah.
Everybody, not just his playing, but also just him as a dude, seems like he was a really great guy. Everybody just had nothing but super positive things to say about it, and that's even more rare this day and age.
Oh, for sure.
That's tells you a lot, I think.
Yep.
Well, you were lucky to get those tickets.
I agree.
Them, dude.
And I don't know what else to say about it.
And that's all I got.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Then I have my second Pink Floyd related point, or at least I remembered it. I was about to say, at least I would have if I didn't also have brain fog and senior moment, but no. Well, this comes on to the article about the cost of vinyl that I linked to you guys, because Pink Floyd are releasing a 50th anniversary of Dark Side of the Moon, and the box set is about $250. Now, I've paid more than that for other box sets with a lot of vinyls, but I'm not going to pay for this because there's nothing new in it. But there's an article that I read, which I linked, which basically says, the vinyl industry is kind of shooting itself in the foot by immediately just leaping to making, vinyl's become successful again. So they've immediately made it a premium product, and it's not unheard of to just buy a normal album for $50. Whereas when vinyl was out, when I was a kid, I know, make violin noises, whatever, it was pocket money. It was, you could go out and pick up a new 12-inch for like £7-8 or whatever. And I know even adjusted to inflation, that still isn't $50. So do we think that the vinyl industry has been a bit greedy here and kind of premium priced itself too soon? And people are like, I love vinyl, I no longer love vinyl.
I think that's a little bit of a generalization, because now I don't know for a fact that across the board, but with a lot of the artists that I listen to, and I'll go intentionally out of my way to support by buying their vinyl, it's normally like $25-$30. It's not crazy, I got, like, when I go, especially if I get lucky enough to get on the list to go to a show, I always try to go over to the merch table and grab something.
So,
just because, like, hey, I got the show for free. Like, I don't deserve a free show, so let me go support the artist somehow, and oftentimes that'll be buying a vinyl, and it's usually around $25-$30. It's not insane. So and that could be because I really like a lot of weird stuff that plays smaller venues and smaller shows, or I don't know. Then again, I even bought my wife some vinyl for Christmas and had it shipped here, and it was only $27. It wasn't that much. So I don't know if that's true across the board, but I have seen big acts charging a lot of money for things like this. So I don't know. Maybe it's more of a thing with larger, more well-established musicians, less so than up-and-comers. I'm not really sure what the answer is.
This
says in 1978, the average price of vinyl was $7.32, equal to about $30 in today's money.
I think that's probably still the average cost. I think the $250 box sets are outliers.
Yeah. I would think, I don't think there's any band I would pay that much money for vinyl. Nope, there's not.
The most I've ever paid was, I think, $120 for a box set. Not a box set, but for a very special limited edition. It was a band called Under Oath, and it was like the most elaborately packaged, like over the top thing I've ever seen. The vinyls were cut into the shape of saw blades.
Oh, nice.
And like
that takes work.
And it was like it was like four discs, I think. It was a whole big thing. So, and you knew what you were getting when you ordered that package, and it was like $120, which admittedly is a lot of money, but also I know they weren't just swimming in in gold doubloons after they sold that thing because it was expensive to make.
Pink Floyd are swimming in gold doubloons. Now, they don't own their music anymore, I'm sure.
Under Oath is not.
I'm sure that some corporate
seems like
made these decisions, but yeah.
It seems like I was watching something recently where it was talking about the music industry and how it's changed over the years. And there was a point where record companies started kind of focusing more on EPs because they could still sell them for a higher price and you get less music basically.
They could make them cheaper because less studio time, less material, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, again, that's kind of the yucky part of the music business, right? Like, how can we squeeze all the money out of these consumers? Let's just squeeze every damn dime from them, you know?
Whereas famously in England, the band Joy Division, who became New Order and one of my favorite bands of all time, they did the exact opposite. They were like, if we're releasing singles and then we're releasing albums, it would be conning our audience to release the single and put the same track on an album. So here's a great idea. Let's release all our albums without any of the singles on them. And of course, their albums bombed at the time because people were after the singles and they weren't on the album. Subsequently, they've done rather well for them.
Let's just put the hiss that's at the beginning and the end on it. Let's just put that part.
Are they from Nashville?
I mean, actually, when you talk about the switch to EPs, that's actually this almost the exact same motivation behind larger artists producing shorter songs now. Because these shorter songs, you can get more plays on them because it's shorter. So, like, the average song length has gone to under 3 minutes now.
2 minutes.
And the reason for that is streaming.
The average now, isn't it? I grew up listening to the Ramones.
Thanks to TikTok, it's going to be 59 seconds. Yeah, the TikTok song is going to be like 59 seconds.
Fine.
Just
Again,
an EP full of 59 second songs.
That's the entire Ramones back catalogue sorted. That's really
I'm in trouble because my songs are like 10 minits long. So that's
10 minutes and 3 notes. That's what Brian's like.
You're going to have like three. You're going to have like 3 different vinyl records, and it's the same song.
That's right.
just keep going. It's the same song.
It's the same song. It's funny enough that you say that because I intended on making my first record. I intended on it being an EP, and the songs were so long it turned into a full length. So
I can see that.
I'm not even joking.
I can see that. Speaking of records, you were going to form a hardcore band with your kids?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Tell me about this.
We've already started. I'll have to send you. It's not mixed at all, but I'll have to send you the tracks we were working on last night. So my 3-year-old, I wasn't there for this, so I'm kind of, hopefully I get the story exactly correct. But my wife and my 2 sons are in the kitchen, and my kids love blueberries, right? And so my 3-year-old is smashing his blueberries in his cup and then just like eating them, like because he's a 3-year-old. And he's like, "Oh, look, blueberry blood." and
definitely your child.
And he was like,
100%.
That is definitely your relation.
And he was like, "Blueberry blood. It's the blood you eat."
There's lyrics right there.
And my wife's like, yeah. So my wife's like, "Hey, you guys should make a song about that." And so we did. Last night I brought them out here. I said, "Okay, you guys are going to help me write this. So which guitar do I pick?" And they both immediately went, "The 8-string." I was like, "All right, here we go." So we got set up, plugged in the Victory amps Kraken because that's my go-to high gain sound right now, and I played a couple different riffs for him and let Vincent, the oldest, I'm like, "Which vibe do you like?" Some of them were a little more noodly, some of them were more chunky. He liked the chunkier ones, so we went with that. And then he's like, "Okay, we're gonna sing these lyrics." And so we started making the song "Blueberry Blood," and it's my kids just screaming into the microphone, "Blueberry blood! It's the blood you eat!" And then we're coming up with some more lyrics. We've got the next line is, "I love how it feels smashed between my teeth." And It's great. I'm so proud of them.
We've got a little bit of experience with another friend of ours whose son had a song go viral about, a pizza party.
Pizza party.
I'm going to say this sounds just a tad darker, just a little bit darker than pizza party. A cute 6 or 7 year old singing pizza party versus, I don't know what you're going to call your band, but we'll call them Vince and the Blake Tones, versus Vince and the Blake Tones screaming about blueberry blood. It's a different level of dark. and I love you for it. I'm just going to let you know.
I just found Pizza Party. Yes.
Yeah, Pizza Party's great.
Found it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I can add it. Maybe I'll add it. If I remember, maybe I'll add it on post or something.
I mean, you've got brain fog. It's unlikely you'll remember. Which does remind me, Brian,
true.
that $10,000 you owe me. Don't forget about that.
Bucks, 10,000 ducks. Yeah, 10,000 ducks. Gotcha.
But no, it's going shockingly well. And the excitement level that my kids have for this is hilarious. And Vincent's now like, Dad, I want to go to a metal show.
That's so cool.
I want to go to a metal show. I'm like, what do you want to go see? And he's like, well, let's listen to some bands. And so right now, the next show that's coming that he's really excited about, hopefully we can go, is The Devil Wears Prada opening for August Burns Red. And I'm like, yeah, I'm taking you. Let's go.
Sure,
Let's do it. I'll put you on my shoulders. We'll stand on the side, and you can watch the chaos. It'll be great. So hopefully we get to do that.
And this, listeners, is how to parent correctly. Get your children into
It's only a few years down the road. They're like, when can we go see Johnny Depp, Dad? When can we go see Johnny Depp? Who's with this Jeff Beck feller? And I don't know who that is, but.
Do they have any talking?
Exactly. There are any words.
Good times.
Good times.
Yeah, I'll send that. I'll send the unmixed version to you.
I can't wait to hear it. That's so cute. Yeah. And you have a new old amp coming in. What?
Oh yeah, somebody messaged me, and they were like, "Do you want any interest, or do you have any interest in a Silvertone Twin 12?" And I was like, "Yes, I do, but my wallet says no. I've got too much stuff I'm buying." And then they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So in a few weeks, I'm going to be the proud owner of a Silvertone Twin 12, which I've wanted for a while. And the main reason I did accept this is because I had long thought the days of these being, on the more affordable side is kind of over. And I don't want to pay like $2,000 for, a Sears amp. It's just not. I love those amps.
So instead you've agreed.
I'm not going to pay that much for that.
To take a few kind of very heavy rolls of carpet and dump them at the bottom of a lake. Is that how that worked? Is that what you've been dealt?
They were canvas bags, but yeah, I mean.
Oh, well, that's better because they're more porous, so they soak up the water. I like it.
They were slightly damp with like red paint, fine. But, I wasn't too worried about it. Yeah. He told me they were car batteries.
He was probably telling the truth.
Silvertone Twin 12. I'm excited to get my Jack White on. That'll be a lot of fun. Good attack.
There's a joke in there somewhere. I don't think I'm going to make it, but I'm feeling
spray
the
him for even thinking.
I'm feeling the amp buzz right now because I got that little sister for Christmas, and I've realised I now have 4 amps that I love, and they're all different, but. I tell you, I mentioned this last week. I've been playing that little mini Soldano again, Bri. The little solid state. It's basically a pedal and a preamp in a box. It's great for little practice. It's great if you want to play some dirty stuff real quick and you don't want to kind of wire everything up. I have to say that's a bargain for $250 or whatever it goes for.
Is that all it is? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So much,
you need a cab as well, clearly, but that's down to you.
Sure. I got those, though. That's fine.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you guys about something. So in talking about tube amps, like we all love tube amps. There's not any guitar player who doesn't love tube amps. You guys, like Brian specifically, I know you use a lot of the 2-note stuff for recording, right? Do you have any experience with any of the other similar options out there?
Fryette makes a really good one. I hear a lot of people talk about the Boss stuff.
That's the one I have on the way.
The Waz Expander or whatever.
Yeah, that's the one I have coming, but I'm very, very excited about it, but I've never actually messed with anything like this before.
So I don't have any direct experience. I've just heard people talk about them. And I know like Travis Feaster swears by the Fryette stuff. I've heard a lot of people that swear by the Boss stuff. Mm-hmm. I haven't like dove in that area yet. I just haven't. For what I do, I don't need to.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think I'm gonna get one of the after I spend some time with the Boss one, because I play like true stereo so often.
Yeah,
I actually,
as you should. That's the best way.
It is. I was talking with Jason Wilding about it a little bit. I was like, I'm going to need 2 of whatever box that I decide to get if I really want to do this in the most, accurate way to what I do with real amps. And he was like, yeah. So I think what I'll probably do is once I spend some time with the Boss one, I'll get the 2 notes one and just to see the differences between the two.
Well, the 2 notes. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know the 2 notes isn't an amplified thing. It's just basically, it allows, I use it in order to, shit.
I wouldn't do that.
See, totally
recommend
I use it
to and toilet paper.
Sorry. That's what I said. Just complete. My brain just shuts down for a second. I use it whenever I'm recording.
That's what I'm wanting it for, is just to make recording faster and to be able to use the amps I have here that I love, that they're here. I want to turn the knobs. I don't want to mess with setting up microphones. Right.
And I know Travis, when he uses the Fryette, he'll like run in, let's say it's a 100-watt plexi.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want the volume of it. So he'll run it into this Fryette and
it's
then
the power station, right?
Yeah, I think it's the power station. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is
cool. So, and I assume the Boss does the same sort of thing. Again, I'm very stupid in this area.
The Boss, I don't know about the power station. I know the power station is fantastic for running large amps at lower volumes and all that. But I don't know if the power station has the built-in IR loaders and all that stuff the way the Boss does. And that's what that's why I really, even though it's really expensive, that's why I ended up going that way, is just because the Boss seemed like it had the most options. You could you could make a tiny amp like a Champ. You could plug that in there and use the 100-watt power amp into another cab and make it like your exploding Champ loud enough to play a room with if you wanted. Or you could take your 150-watt head and knock it down to a reasonable volume. Or you can plug it direct into your interface and, do the direct recording thing.
Gotcha.
So that's why I ended up picking that. It just seemed like the most versatile option. I did get a demo of it at NAMM. The first, it was a lot of money for what it is, but I think it's going to save me a lot of time.
How much are those?
I think they're like $1,300. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's not cheap. The thing is, Boss have reached that level in the industry where, like, brands like Hoover, they are literally, if you buy a Boss, it is going to work and do exactly what it says, and you're not going to have to worry about it. Anything you buy from Boss is just going to do exactly what they say it's going to do. They're such a reliable company. I don't think you've got anything to worry about. They're not like that crazy boutique company out in Indiana we work with. Oh, Brian, those guys.
Yeah, and I know enough people at Boss, if it doesn't end up working out, then I'll be like, Matt, what's going on here? What's wrong with this thing? And he'll probably say, you're using it wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Have you tried?
It doesn't do Doom.
But I'm really excited about it. It's such a utility thing. I haven't been this excited about a utility box in a long time. But I'm very pumped to expand the tonal possibilities of stuff I already have, basically.
Again, I've gone the other way.
I'll report back.
Sort of, because I am so into these Neural DSP, Tone King, and Soldano plugins. I've literally got all of my DAW guitar tones sorted. But now I've got this slicer, and I've experienced what the slicer and the Metaverse sound like together. And I figured out the most simple thing with Jake the other day, which was how to actually really rig it all up in MIDI instead of my stupid methods. I think I'm going to need to be playing around with my two notes a bit more. Let's put it that way. I think I'm going to be bringing stuff in, even though a slicer plugin would change my mind completely. But I'm going to be doing some two noting, but I'm also going to play with some miking up again, because I had a lot of success getting really good tones in my little 16-track Tascam Porter studio with nicely mic'd amps. And I was using a combination of just like a regular kind of overhead mic, but also a bass drum mic, which is clearly tuned to pick up lower frequencies. That gave a really interesting sound through a good guitar cab. So I don't think miking is dead completely, but there's a lot of clever boxes, definitely.
Yeah, this is mostly because I'm doing so much more. Actually, it's really similar to Brian's reason for going with the two notes. I'm doing so many more videos now that it's a time thing. Obviously, if the quality wasn't there, then I wouldn't bother. But it really seems to be there, and I want to have my cake and eat it too.
Dude, let me give you the pro way of dealing with it. You record all of it on your DAW through something like 11 Pro, and then you just tell everybody that you're recording it through pedals, and you run a whole year's worth of videos.
That's a good idea.
Where you tell everyone you're running on pedals, but actually you're running it all through, I don't know, a Gorilla amp or something like that.
There's people much more successful than myself that have done just that, so that's a good idea.
It's crazy talk. No one's more successful than you, Blake.
No one? Are you sure?
Yep, 100% sure.
Richard, you might need to expand your friend base if you think that's true.
I think all of my friends are either here or listening right now, so I think. No, that's not true.
I was going to say, what is this friend thing you talk about?
Explain the concept of friends.
Explain this meaning of friend.
No, we've made a lot of good friends through this show, I have to say, and we really enjoy hearing from all of them. There is one that we've met, which again, we've teased about him a few times. Oh man, just even interacting with him blows my mind. So, I'll just leave that there for now. Right. What's this Patreon question you've got here, Blake?
I was in the Patreon inbox, and Bruce Bacon had a question that I thought would be. I gave him my answer in the message, but I thought, you know what, this is actually a decent question to ask on the air, and we can all give our opinions on it. So his question was, I realize there is no right or wrong answer to this question because it all depends on the type of music and situation you're playing in, but I want to get all of your opinions. I use the volume knob on my guitar, but not my tone knob. In passive guitar circuits, every component you add can potentially negatively impact the signal. So would you be better served without a tone knob and an EQ pedal right after your guitar? Do you want me to roll into what I told him, or should we take the actual electronic man's?
Was your answer?
You guys go ahead and talk about
there's
it.
There's a tone knob on the guitar? What?
I'm trying to do a spice analysis real quick so I can come from some sort of data.
All right, cool. So my gut was, so just because there are components in the circuit, in a passive circuit in the guitar, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to negatively impact your sound. It might be negative or positive. If you don't like the sound of your guitar as it sits, that could be a worthwhile mod to try, is deleting the tone circuit. But if you like the sound of your guitar as it sits, getting rid of the tone circuit's not going to improve it necessarily. It will change it, but it will not necessarily improve it if you're already happy with the guitar in general terms. And also, I said an EQ pedal will definitely give you more versatility, but again, saying it's just better, that's not necessarily true. An EQ pedal would be more flexible than a tone knob on a guitar. But if you're running into some vintage fuzzes, or for example, depending on what EQ pedal you're running, it might have a detrimental effect to the rest of your rig. So I would say,
so to paraphrase and summarize, maybe. That's what you're saying there.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't think well, he's kind of asking for our opinion, and that's my opinion. I was like, I don't think
you ever considered politics? I'm just going to let you know, you'd make a great politician.
I just don't think it's fair to say that in a passive guitar circuit, every component you add can potentially negatively impact your signal. I don't hold that belief. You know, I don't think it's negative necessarily. It's only negative if you don't like it. That's my What do you think, Brian? What do you think, Richard?
I mean, he caveats it with the word potentially, because every component in a passive circuit can potentially negatively impact it. But you're right, it's a frame
Every
of
component
reference.
in an active circuit, can also potentially negatively impact.
Correct. But I'll say this, I get freaked out by guitars without tone knobs. I cannot stand guitars without tone knobs, even though one of my favorite guitars hasn't got a tone knob, because I like to play with the tone of a pickup, and I like to find the sweet spot. And then when I found it, I dial it right back up to the top and don't bother with it again. But I mean, a lot of great sounds, especially, I mean, again, Blake, you love the Stratocaster. We know you are one of the foremost internet supporters of the Fender Stratocaster. A Stratocaster without a tone knob, I mean,
Ew.
that just doesn't work. They're
so ice picky anyway. You got to roll some of that off. So
some can be beautiful. And
I've had good experiences with guitars without tone knobs, but that said, I'm looking around to verify this. All of my guitars have tone knobs. So, and I do play with them. He does not currently. So
you'll go blind if you play with tone knobs a lot.
Oh God!
What?
If I was on the screen, I would spray you. Just imagine I'm spraying you right now, but I'm in spice
Beautiful
right now.
thought.
Hold on, I'm half blind. What does that mean?
Exactly. You don't want to push it, do you?
And that's true. And I did just say I play with my tone knobs all the time, and now I'm half blind.
Do you have any hair on the palm of your hands?
Oh jeez. Oh God.
This isn't the Patreon section, Richard. You gotta settle down.
Sorry, I shall settle down.
You're not sorry. I can see it in his face. He's not sorry at all. That's the face of a man who's proud of what he's done.
Simulate R14. Let's see, got to simulate R14 here so we know what's going on exactly.
Incoming circuit nerd transmission. It's definitely the brain fog affecting him. He'd have drawn this up on a blackboard and be pointing at it with a stick by now.
Okay, there is a dramatic difference when you take that tone control out, even when it's at its full.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's going to make a big difference if you pull your tone control out.
Mm-hmm. But
what
whether
way?
that's good or bad is...
according to the SPICE analysis, even with the tone control up, all the way up, volume control all the way up, it looks like you're going to still take off a bit of highs.
Mm-hmm.
The roll off starts at about, you go from 60 down to about 1.5K. Then it levels off. And, oh man.
Spice analysis is usually what I do at a Buffalo Wings shop.
I have to say, I had
so it's saying like
curry last night. If we're talking about spice analysis, oh boy.
Yeah, there's no way that's 35 volts. So I don't know how accurate that can't be right. There's no way that's 35.
I will say I have went over to Sean's shop, Sean from Gun Street, wonderful patron.
Hold on,
and
Gun Street Wiring is that?
That is.
Isn't there some rather major industry news about Gun Street Wiring?
There is, and that was an unintended segue, actually. But before we get to that, I will say I have played with circuits that he had, push pull pots and different switches and things on where that deleting the tone controls was an option, and it definitely sounds a lot different. I don't know that most people are going to be happy with that sound necessarily, just because that's not what they're used to. So I liked it especially for really aggressive, like trying to push things into distortion. That was really cool, but I don't know that everyone's going to like that. So yeah, Brian's still analyzing danger over there.
I am totally, just 5 more seconds. 5 more seconds.
So really what we're saying is
same way. Yeah, it's still going to do that. So
you'd be best off with and without a tone knob, so Schrodinger's knob, And also, you also want multiple EQ pedals. Is that what we've concluded?
That's what we've concluded. That's the answer.
So I actually used to disconnect the tone control of my guitars just because
I knew
at that time I was like, well, this has been years ago. This is actually before I started picking up soldering irons, really. Now, like the 1900s, for example. And so I would do that because I would also raise my pickups all the way up as close to the strings as I could, so I could get maximum gain.
Maximum gain.
Right. And so like, well, this pesky tone control seems like it's taking out some signal. We need the most signal possible. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we just disconnect it. And then I changed my mind at some point and stopped doing that because I didn't like the sound of it. It kind of made everything suck. Yeah.
Are you trying to tell me that maximum gain isn't the answer to everything?
It is not.
I'm not here to hear that.
It is. Sometimes you want a little bit less gain.
That's nonsense. That's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
There's a point where it's just so much gain. It's just
Brian's changed.
Like that.
This COVID has changed him completely. He's saying words that I didn't think were possible to come out of his mouth in that sequence. I'm not sure I can work with new Brian. Next week he'll come in and go,
thing you know, I'll be like,
this jazz chorus pedal. Check it out, dudes. It's mellow as I nearly swore there. We're not on paper.
Right. I'm dedicating my life to kazoo effects. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I have seen a very famous band do one of their most famous songs on a kazoo on a MTV Unplugged. Listeners with brains will definitely figure it out. Brian is looking at me as if I've just kicked him in the nuts. Yeah, right, fine. We're running out of time. I want to quickly touch on a couple of things. One of the stories I'm going to tell in Patreon, but I'm just going to mention it here. I was sent a mysterious CD from a band who are called Sleepy Rojo. This CD was recorded in 1971. Clearly not the CD, but the original album. It involves one of my mysterious friends and another mysterious friend who will largely remain anonymous, but will go by the code name Dave. But the story of this CD is really interesting, and it just turned up in like a mysterious package today, and I listened to it. It's pretty good stuff. So I'll talk about that. I just wanted to touch on quickly on the main episode. One, have you guys seen the new Amped 2 pedal board amp from Blackstar?
No.
Nope.
It's big. It's red,
I saw the first
and it's
one.
got lots of things. Well, imagine the first one and multiply it by 3. That's what this one is. So that's worth checking out. And also, did you guys see that Phil McKnight has made a guitar that looks exactly like the 1980s Conic Speed King joystick?
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw it.
I mean, it literally was the first thing that came to mind.
I have thoughts on this, but it's not about the joystick at all.
Okay.
I
kind of dig it. I kind of looks cool.
I was into it too. And I felt like maybe that was a slightly unpopular opinion. I was like, I think it looks dope. I would play.
I don't mind it at all, and I'm ragging on the aesthetics because I remember the Conic Speed King, but I think it looks quite cool. I just don't think I would spend that much money on a brand that I'd never heard of, and maybe that's wrong of me. And maybe on Patreon you can.
So my take is completely different. Yeah, I got a completely different take on it.
Which is,
I think this is how musicians start monetizing their work again. Not necessarily through music, but it's by putting out content, becoming kind of famous in some sort of way, being an influencer or whatever the hell you want to call it, and then coming out with their own products. Maybe not in a mass manufactured way, but coming out with their own products that their own fans want to buy. It's the Kevin Kelly model.
Products.
Thousands of your fans.
So you heard it here first.
Art is marketing now.
You heard it here first,
Not
folks.
new, though.
Brian is bringing out a guitar, and it's going to be based on the Kempston QuickShot 2 joystick. And on that bombshell.
no, I will say I agree with you, Brian, but I also will slightly disagree because it's not new. Have you ever
No,
heard
I
of
don't think
Kiss? Kiss has been doing this for a very
Yeah,
long time.
I don't think it's new. I just think that's the way that if an artist wants to monetize their living with music, I think that's the route to go. I don't think it's putting out music and hoping people are going to buy your music and hoping people are going to send you PayPal for the MP3s. I think that day is just never going to come. I think it all revolves around putting out some sort of content that people want to consume. And once you get that dedicated audience, well, now you can do what Phil McKnight's doing and make a guitar that you want and hopefully others want as well and make a living off of it.
Music
Again.
has become another form of content, honestly. I mean, it always has been, but I've always thought that's how, you're just putting out, the music is what makes people fall in love with what you do. And then you got to give them ways to support you.
I mean, you
the
say
music
that,
is
but are you
great.
familiar with Gary Glitter at all? I'm not sure the music will cover up his crimes. That's a terrible thing to say, but
Never heard of Gary Glitter.
That's,
Well,
we're
I
not
think we should
talking
end the
about
show
Gary
now.
Glitter.
Who is Gary Glitter?
We got to end.
I've unleashed a real monster here because
Oh,
he's going to Google
how
him.
dare you, Richard.
The FBI are coming.
Oh
to his house right
my
now.
God.
That has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Oh,
Absolutely nothing.
jeez.
I think we should end this
but yeah,
before it
before
goes
we-
downhill.
Before we
yeah.
fade out and leave
Business
that
news.
with the memory, yes, I do want to do a quick little announcement. Listeners of the Tone Mob podcast will already be aware of this, but the aforementioned Gun Street is now a part of the Stringjoy family, and I just wanted to put that out here real quick because it's something we've been working on for a very long time. Sean is still running the show; he is still captaining that ship, but now basically. The nutshell version is we've been in his position before at a very similar place in the company timeline, and we all thought we can help each other out. And so now he is officially and publicly a part of the Stringjoy family.
Well, that's very
Y'all looking for a
wonderful.
pedal company?
And I was just going to say, Brian,
$100 million. Let's talk.
$100 million.
$100 million.
in the edit, just replace the words Stringjoy and Gun Street with Wampler, and then it'll be fine. We can get away with it. Just sound like some Wampers. No, I'm really happy. Before we get into the credits, a link on the internet led me to Grizz Guitars the other day, and I believe Barry listens to us because we mentioned they make some lovely guitars, Bri. You must not go to their
Yes.
website at all, because if you go there,
Too late.
you're going to spend money. I'm just going to let you know they have something that I think you're going to really love. Why has Blake got 2 foot shorter?
I was trying to. I thought my camera. It's not in frame. My Grizz guitar is right over there, and it's one of the guitars that I play
Your
the most.
resolutions
It's
dropped to
phenomenal.
potato levels again. So when you dropped, all I saw was about 8 squares of flesh-coloured pixelation. Oh, wait a minute. That's
That
the
was
other
something
monitor.
else.
I was
Never
watching
mind.
something else.
Yeah.
So anyway, Bri, this $100,000 that you owe me, I hope the brain fog hasn't stopped you from remembering that.
Hey, it was $100,000.
1,000
billion
doll hairs.
ducks. Did you say doll hairs?
Doll hairs. Yeah.
Oh, doll
I can send you
hairs,
10,000 doll hairs.
That would be creepy if you could. I'm just going to let you know that is how
I
serial
could.
killers
It's not-
start off.
Right.
That's not that difficult.
That's,
You just find a Barbie, you chop off a couple hairs, and you
Well, it's apparently more than a couple. I mean, who's going to count all these hairs too? 10,000? 1,
I'm gonna make my kids do it. Yeah.
3.
Never mind blueberry blood. It's time for Barbie's haircut, kids.
Yep. All right. Well, I don't know if I can roll the R's today, but I wanted to give a big shout out to our executive producers who we appreciate very much. Bill Bays, Jake Young from Man the Helm Podcast, Justin Burke, David Tyndall, Night Haas, Dave Trombetti, Shannon Weaver and the band Reduced to Rust, Eric Wilson. Nope, can't do it. Vidar Frostad, Michael Freer, Sean Arbo of Gun Street Wiring, and apparently now Stringjoy. Rick Calhoun, is that right? Did I say that wrong? that true? Gun Street Wiring / Street Joy?
Well, I mean, it's still just Gun Street.
Okay. Then I'll go back.
We're in more of a support role.
Okay. Sean Arbo of Gun Street Wiring, but not anything to do with String Joy.
Well, that's not true either, but yeah.
Rick Calhoun of Honey Fix, DJ Patty F, Dylan Toxtone, Strand, Kevin Harrington, Barry from Grez Guitars, who makes some really, really nice semi-hollows, by the way. Felicity, who makes the annoying memes, Tom Kelly, Pigsy, Zebo, John O'Neill, Robert Carr, Hunter Hudson, Rob Stokes, Jordan from Poison Noises, Flying Dutchman, Nick Spano, The Twang Kings, Sasha Sir. Thanks so much, folks. We'll see you next week.